side first. So in order for you to get different outcomes, you need to be able to think differently. So I need you to flood the lines with your affirmations. I am the signal. I am a master trader. All my trades end in profit. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you tonight. And if you're here for the very first time, I need you to participate. You have to be an active participant if you desire the ultimate outcomes. You have to be an active participant if you want to be able to obtain the ultimate outcomes. So I am a master trader. I am the signal. All my trades end in profit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is BYOB Market Talks. This call is held every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. And tonight is back to the basics. We're going to ensure that you have a firm foundation to understand the simplicity of the strategy. I'm a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. All my trades in the profit. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here in about another 45 seconds. But if you are excited about your transformation and you being your own bank, I need you to make sure that you affirm that by dropping these things in the chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9 p.m. Eastern. We want to be very pertinent on time, and we want to make sure you get an opportunity to maximize the time that you're going to be able to share with us this evening. I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen, tonight because it is now the 26th of January, and we are adamant about ensuring for many of you that are here with us this evening, 2021 is the year of transformation. Yes, we've all come through and we've made it to this new year, but we're going to always take ownership and responsibility for our own personal financial outcomes. And that's just a state of mind. That's just a posture. That's a place of anchoring yourself in that belief. And then we're taking your belief to knowing. So we can believe something, but we need to know that we know no matter what the circumstances are. And we're no longer going to allow our external stimulus or environment to create our personal reality. So you have the power, you have the authority, and you have the mind to create the scenarios that you desire. And that's really what transformation is all about. That's really what transformation is all about. So once again, if you're here with us this evening, as you're diving in, you want to make sure that you grab your pen and paper, you have your information necessary. So with that being said, it is my pleasure and treat to be able to turn this call over to an individual that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Retired major from the United States Army, MBA recipient, licensed financial advisor, published author, the creator of the BYOB Cashout strategy, and obviously, you know, we refer to her as the trade whisperer. So it is my treat and pleasure to be able to share with you and present to you one of the most dynamic individuals that I've ever had the opportunity to be in partnership with. So I'm going to turn the call over to our esteemed colleague this evening, none other than the trade whisperer sub, Miss Tasha M. Dyer. Miss Dyer, are you on the line?
Absolutely, 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 I am. Ladies and gentlemen, as we dive in this evening, I am a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. All my trades in profit, I am 777. And so as you're logging on and as you continue to drop that in the chat, and as you continue to affirm, let me just go ahead and thank Mr. Rogers for hosting this call this evening. I am so excited. You all have heard from the visionary himself. Yes, the visionary of this movement, the visionary of Be Your Own Bank. 1 million families financially educated and impacted. And he is where this vision came from. He is why so many of us are here today. So many are on the line. So I'm just excited because, you know, being able to work with a phenomenal individual, my personal coach and mentor, the spokesperson for the vibrato, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. So thank you so much once again for hosting this call. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I'm excited here this evening because tonight is about you. Tonight is about BYOB basics. This is a basics call, basic training. That's what this is, a basic training call. And so understanding that, you know, understanding that what we're going to do is dive down, dig a little bit deeper. And the reason why that excites me is to bring that complete clarity and understanding to each and every last one of you all, is because I don't know, you should have caught our radio broadcast today. You should have been able to catch that today, because what we were discussing and what we were talking about was that shift that's required in order for you to be successful. Because I don't know about you, but me obtaining another profession or obtaining another job at the quote unquote retirement age is not something I'm ever going to even pretend that I would be looking forward to. So you shifting the narrative, you taking control of your life, that is ultimately what this is all about. And so this skill set, $6.6 trillion a day flowing through the market, $6.6 trillion a day, you are in position. That is what you are. You're in position, and you're in position to create your own, and you're in position to take ownership of who you are and what you are and what you desire. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I see so many of you all BYOB worldwide. I see so many of you all on here. But what we definitely want to do is, if this is your first time joining us this evening, as you all continue to log on, make sure that you continue to drop those affirmations in the chat. I see so many of you all BYOB worldwide, but you want to make sure that we know where you're calling from. So, and we also want to know that you're walking in that right mindset. And so let me get a 111 in the chat if this is your first time here with us. And let me get a 222 if you are still learning how to cash out. Let me get a 111 and a 222. So let me officially welcome you. Let me welcome each and every last one of you all. And then, of course, a welcome and welcome back. Welcome and welcome back. So definitely, definitely, definitely. So for those of you all that are new here this evening, my 111s, all right, and even my 222s that have not dropped it in the chat just yet. So let me just go ahead and let me explain to you what Be Your Own Bank is about, how what the BYOB cash out strategy is, and how we do these calls. So here we go. Tuesday night, BYOB basics. Thursday is going to be our tools training. Same time you join us back here on Thursday. And so what we do tonight is help you understand how to effectively analyze the strategy BYOB cash out, and of course how to effectively implement that. And so then on Thursday night, what we do is we show you how to maximize and utilize the tools with that. And then of course in the mornings, what we do in our morning live sessions is we show you how to implement that, because you are the signal. Did you hear what you just affirmed? That you are the signal. And so Be Your Own Bank, our motto, what we say, our vision, our mission is very, very clear. And a part of that is 1 million families, hear me clearly, financially educated and financially impacted. So we're not going to send you signals. We're not going to do those things. What we are going to do is educate and impact. And so that's what this is all about. Because if you want somebody to control the narrative, you're here because you made a decision. You made a destiny decision. And if you want someone to control the narrative, then we might as well stay on jobs. Now, if you like what you're doing, hey, so be it, fine. But you want wealth, you're not going to get that from a quote unquote job. And so you have to own the narrative. And owning the narrative means that you own the skill set. You own that part of your life. That's what that is all about. So now, as we gear up and we get started here this evening, you know, so like we just said, we got the 111s. What I'm going to do, and my 222s, is what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen right now, okay? Let me go ahead and share my screen. And of course, as we go through this, tonight is about interactive, okay? Tonight is interactive. And so what interactive means is that we're having a conversation. We're going through this together. We're in this together. Now, that means that I want you to ask your questions, but also I want you to understand where it starts with your mindset based on everything that I just shared with you. So now, why is that? So let's start here. Why do you see those affirmations in the chat, and what do they mean? So I am a BYOB master trader. That means that you master the skill set, you master the understanding, you know, you are that master trader. You know, be your own bank. That means you're saying, I am my own bank. I do exactly what banks do, which is navigate the markets. What do institutional investors do? We navigate the markets. We take ownership. That's what that means. You need to know what you're speaking into existence. And then, of course, I am a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. Well, I just explained to you what being the signal is all about. Being the signal is you being the signal, you understanding the market talking to you. That's why this is called market talks. So the market is speaking to you. You have a relationship with the market. You can understand the flow of the market. And then of course, all my trades end in profit. 92% accuracy rate. And are you aware that there are some individuals that are actually trading at a higher accuracy rate than that? And so that's what I love about this. And I am 777. If you're not already in our Telegram chat, that's definitely somewhere you want to be. You want to make sure that you are in our Telegram chat, because in that Telegram chat, right? In that Telegram chat, what's going to happen is you're going to see those 777s in the chat. And that 777 in the chat is that success that you desire. That 777 in the chat, it means you made a withdrawal. You are technically in profit, because that's when you see that currency pair in that 777. So that's what that means. And that's what you're affirming. Now, there are many of you all who add to it, and guess what? That's okay. Add to it, just do not take away. Add to it, just do not take away. And that's what you want to make sure that you're doing, right? You add to it, you do not take away. So let's go ahead and get started here this evening. And as I stated, questions, drop them in the chat. Drop them in the chat and we'll definitely walk you through it. I want to make sure that everyone has complete understanding. Now, this is where I'm going to start from today. All right. This is the market. This is the vibrato, and this is the market. All right. And the strategy in the middle, of course, is the BYOB cash out strategy that I created. Now, as I'm looking at this and I understand it, I want to walk you through this understanding. And I'm going to go top down and I'm going to walk you through the strategy. Now, basic market structure, right? We learned that in the academy. That's why an educational base and a foundation of education is so very important. You enroll, you learn how to utilize the tools, they help put you in a position of profit. So this is where that comes from, because you're learning a skill set. You are learning a skill set that's going to shift the narrative of your life. So as I'm looking at this, okay, the higher time frames, you see this, the 1 and the 4 hour, daily, weekly, but basically higher time frames is where the market gets its direction. It helps you understand what the market is doing, okay? What is the market doing? And then the beauty behind this is no matter what it's doing, like right here, what I'm looking at is Euro GBP. That means that's the Euro. We're talking about currency right now, and the British pound. So that means that with these two currencies, that one of them has to be stronger than the other. So whichever one is stronger, that's the ones that's going to determine if the market is buying or if the market is selling. So based on that, okay, based on that understanding, based on knowing that, like for example, right here, we're looking at the fact that the market is in a sell. So this part is in a sell. The beauty of the difference of trading versus investing is that no matter what the market is doing, I'm in a position to take profit. No matter what the market is doing, I'm in a position where I can capitalize on that. So yes, I said sell and we're going to be in profit. Now each candle, right? That means that this is an hour. That means that that's a 4 hour. So right now we're talking about 15 minutes. Now, every last one of you on this call, mindset and belief. That's why we start with affirmations. Mindset and belief. That means that within your first 14 to 21 days, you'll have complete understanding of how to take these trades. You'll have complete understanding of how to navigate the markets, right? You'll have complete understanding that you actually can be in profit. And of course, you're going to still have to enhance and grow your skill set, but this is why we begin you here on a 15-minute chart. So yes, our higher time frames tell us where the market's going. The lower the time frame, that's where you see the activity and the movement. So here we are, BYOB cash out strategy that I'm looking at. Now you'll see this support resistance line is from this morning. As a matter of fact, I don't think I probably, you know what, I can do without this one. So let me just go ahead. I'm gonna take that off of there because I want a clear chart. Okay. So now this is literally where we would be in the market. Okay. This is where we would be in the market. Now, understanding that this is where we would be in the market, this means that over here, we haven't got to this space yet. Over here, nothing has happened yet. So you can see that that's the 27th of January. If I look down at the bottom, this is, you know, still the 27th. The further out I go, you can see that the dates are going to continue to populate. It's not going to let me go that much further over to this, over to the right. But if I look down, you see that's the 28th. So yet the market is still waiting to populate there. So what does that mean? I'm saying that because you see an arrow here, you see an arrow over here, but you don't need to put an arrow when you're trading, okay? This arrow is so we can analyze this together and we can talk about it together, okay? So you can see what I see and everybody's looking at the exact same thing. So please, please, please just don't go dropping arrows on your chart while you're trading, all right? Now, BYOB cash out, 3 simple indicators, okay? 3 simple indicators. You have 3. Down here is my stochastic. My stochastic is a momentum indicator, okay? So this is a leading indicator and it measures momentum. So basically this is gonna start around the 80. Now it's also gonna start around the 20. Now understand it can go higher, it can go lower, but the areas we're focused on is that 20 to that 80. Now, I know that some of you are on the calls, you'll see I'll pull it from, you know, as you advance in your skill set, let me say it this way. As you advance in your skill set, you'll begin to be able to analyze on other time frames. But right now we're on the 15-minute time frame and we're looking at these and you start with the stochastic. I know like you know, okay? I know like you know that when you first look at the chart, this is what you're looking at. You know, it's like, oh, I just have some green candles and some red candles. You know, like I know that this is where your eyes go. But you want to understand how the market moves. You want to understand what the market is doing. And in that understanding, okay, this is where this is why this is the leading indicator and it measures momentum. So it's going to happen first. Okay. So even though I might be looking up here, this is going to happen first. This one was actually very close that this happened. So sometimes you'll see that they take a while. So if I come back over here before I started buying, look where my crossover happened, but look how long it took. So it just depends on the conditions of the market. Now, leading indicator, 3 indicators, okay? 3 indicators. Understand, I must have all 3 indicators before I take the trade, okay? You need to have all 3 indicators before you take the trade. If you do not have all 3 indicators, you are not trading the BYOB cash out. You are trading your own personal strategy and that accuracy rate is not going to be there, okay? So you can't say, I took a trade, it didn't work out, or I did this if you're not following the strategy itself. So the BYOB cash out strategy is 3 indicators, and I need all 3 of them. All right. Now, these are what we call Hikanashi candles. And these dots are what we call a PSAR. Now, the PSAR is a parabolic stop and reversal. My Hikanashi candles are trend candles. Let me show you something. Why do I love trend candles? Let's just flip this over to my Japanese candles. When you log on, no matter where you are, this is pretty much what you see on most charts. And so what you're looking at is you have to read these candles. You have to know what each candle means. So, and it's still good to know, but that still adds another layer of, do I take this, do I not? You know, attempting to understand a prediction. So what we do is we use Hikanashi candles, and Hikanashi candles are trend candles, and you see the difference in how smooth they are. So I got rid of that choppy, I got rid of that tug of war, I got rid of me having to interpret the buyers and the sellers. Now I'm looking at what the market is telling me is the overall trend. You know, what is the market telling me? That in this candle, the sellers won. In this candle, the sellers have control. In this candle, the sellers have control. So even when you look at those Japanese candles, those Japanese candles would show you the fluctuations of red, green, green, red, red, green, green, red. But the Hikanashi candles give you the smoothness. And so it's like they're a translator for you. So it basically is good, like the vibrato does heavy lifting, that just adds that umph to it, right? So now, understand this. These are what we call areas of value. So in price action trading, which is the foundation of trading, no matter what you do, price action is my foundation of trading. Price action is, market structure and understanding that. So no matter how many indicators you come and add on top of it, what we're doing is using areas of value, because that's what price action uses. Now, this has my moving averages and my stochastic. Yes, it's an oscillator, but moving averages are a part of price action. Not necessarily, it's not a naked chart. I'm not talking about a naked chart. A naked chart is where you have nothing but candles. I'm talking about price action. So we want to understand the momentum. You notice that when we're up here around the 80, it's going to swing down to the 20, and then it's going to come back up. So if I squeeze in on this, even though it might not always reach the top before it pulls back down, you notice that it starts at the top, it pulls down, it's going to go back up. And you notice that even though we had some correction here, you notice that it still ended up back at the top, it pulls down. So basically what it's doing, what my stochastic is doing, you notice that it's going to be a continuous flow of down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's basically momentum. And that's why that's so very important, because what I'm looking at is momentum. Now, 3 indicators, they're in alignment. I have my blue line cross over the red and downward momentum around that 80. That tells me that I'm looking for a sell trade, okay? That tells me that I'm looking for a sell. Now, here, I have a red candle with a flat top. You notice that this is a red candle, and then, of course, my PSAR. Because it's a trend candle, let me make it bigger for you. Because it's a trend candle, right? I'm sitting here with a trend candle. I have a blue line cross over the red and downward momentum. I have a red candle with a flat top. You notice how some of these have wicks, that I don't want to start my trade on a wick. I want a flat top. Imagine you pushing your hands on it because it's in a sale. So top, 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 everything is at the top. So just imagine you're having to push that down with your hands. If it's a wick, you're not going to want to put your hand on top of that. So you're not going to want to do that. Is there any time that the movement stops for more than an hour? What do you mean the movement stops for more than an hour? The weekend. That's the only time the markets just stops is the weekend. Cryptocurrency is open, but markets close. And so that's something that you'll find in the academy when you understand when the markets are open, when the markets are closed, because the markets, once they open, they open. Now, how much they move is going to be determined by the amount of liquidity in the market based on what's happening in those countries. Like right now, you'll see that we're in that Sydney and Asian session right now because it's at night. So US market is in the daytime, London session is in the morning. So those are the main markets that, kind of control the flow of liquidity in the market. So yes, so technically the US market is closed, but the overall market is still moving. So, now as I look right here, you can see that blue line cross over the red and downward momentum, red candle with a flat top, PSAR flip to the top. That in itself, ladies and gentlemen, is the strategy, okay? That in itself is the strategy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use time frame confluence. So what time frame confluence is, right? So is it, no, that's it. That's what I was saying. You're referring to the momentum. No, this is continuous momentum. It's how much it moves is going to be determined by the liquidity in the market. You'll never be able to say, okay, this is going to stop now, it's going to keep going. You'll never be able to say that. It's all going to be determined by the liquidity in the market, and of course, as you advance your skill set. So kind of stay with me and you'll see how it kind of covers it. But at the same time, that's really going to be determined by what flows in and the liquidity in the market. So now, as I'm looking right here, as I look here, now you have all 3 indicators. And so what I want to do is what's called time frame confluence. Now, what time frame confluence is understanding, because remember, here on my lower time frames, the lower time frames do not tell me what the market is doing. So I need to jump to my higher time frame to understand that I'm in confluence with the higher time frame, meaning that I'm in agreement with the higher time frame. So when I jump up here to the hour, okay, when I jump up here to the hour, now when I come to the hour, this is why we put this arrow here, because we're looking in the past. So as I look at this, you have that blue line cross over the red and the downward momentum. I have a red candle, right? I have a red candle right here. Now, this is not going to necessarily be set up, all right? This is not necessarily going to be set up. So I don't want you looking at this. My indicators aligned on the 15-minute, all right? This is not necessarily going to be set up, okay? This is not necessarily going to be set up. So I'm not looking for a flat top. I'm not necessarily going to have a PSR flip to the top where you see it sitting at the top. That's a good indication. However, each time you look at this is going to look a little different. So now here I have my stochastic. So I do need some confluence here though. I definitely do. So my stochastic, that momentum once again is in a downward momentum. So that stochastic is definitely in a downward momentum, all right? Then of course I have my red candle right here. So I definitely don't want a green candle. I do want a red candle because green means buy, red means sell. So I want a red candle. And then of course, so as you can see it setting up, that's what it means. It needs to look like a trade is setting up. And then when I drop down to the 5-minute, when I drop down to the actual 5-minute, so now of course I have more candles here because each candle is 5 minutes, okay? So I have more candles here. And when I drop down to the 5-minute, it needs to still be selling. Why does this need to still be selling and the hour needs to be look like? Because my lower time frame is where all the movement and activity happen, all right? You notice that all of these calls, the majority of these triggers that happen over here actually happen on a 5-minute time frame. And so the activity that happens, where everything happens in the market, is actually on the lower time frame. That's where it is. The direction of the market is the higher time frame. The activity in the market is the lower time frame, where you can see all of the movement. That's actually what happens on that lower time frame. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's the BYOB cash out strategy. Now, your stop loss, okay? Your stop loss. Oh, let me find it. So your stop loss is actually above the PSAR. So it's going to be for a sale, it's going to be above. So let's just picture this again. Top, 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 I have a sale. If I'm looking for a buy, it'll be bottom, 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 okay? That's where all my indicators and everything is alignment. So of course my stop loss goes to the bottom, okay? That's what that is. That goes to the bottom, that goes to the top. That's where my stop loss goes. Now, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for 10 pips in cash out. So you can utilize for your, when you're counting your 10 pips, because some of you have what's called pip reaction time. That means how long it takes you to enter the trade. So you can use this call price. You're using these. You can use this call price in order from there to actually do your 10 pips, to count your 10 pips from. Or you can, from your market execution, you can add where you just push the button, you can do your 10 pips. Now, also, as you begin to learn support and resistance lines, as you begin to learn those support and resistance lines in the market, you would actually be able to take the trade to that support and resistance line. So we would know that, of course, we have one up here, you have one here. And so as you advance your skill set, you'll be able to continue a trade. But what I want you to understand is that whether I take one trade a day, 10 trades a day, 100 trades a day, you're looking for patience, patience, profit, and you're looking for that consistency. Patience, patience, profit, and you're looking for that consistency. And so now, let me see, is there any time that the momentum movement stops for more than an hour. So this is not going to stop. Let me just be 100% clear. Like even right now, okay, this is not going to stop. So this down here, my stochastic, you're talking about in this shaded area, the market does not stop. Now we've seen where the market will slow down, but the market does not stop, which means that, so look, let's take a look at this, for example. So if I'm going to look at this, each one of these candles is 15 minutes. You notice that the stochastic is also moving, whether it's a nice straight shot down for the most part, or it takes its time moving up, or like this one, it came down, it moved down here, and you notice how it's kind of going sideways before it turns around and comes back up, but it's never going to stop. All right. And then of course, as I look at my candles, how long each candle is going to be based on the amount of momentum that's a part of that candle. Like how much liquidity is in the market, how much movement is there. So let's just take a look at this, because each candle is 15 minutes. So let me show you how many pips are in this one. In this one, this is 4 pips. There's not a lot of liquidity in the market right now. So when I come over here, this one here that's 6 pips for the most part, right? So you're seeing that that's 6 pips. Now, however, I can come over here and you notice that. So when I'm talking about pips, of course, we're talking about what's over here on the side. This is my actual price. And that movement of my price is the pips. It moves in pips. So as I'm looking at this one, I have a nice longer protruding candle. So there was more pip movement because there was more liquidity. And then of course, when I look at this one, this took 15 minutes to go nowhere. So look at this, right? So that's not even an entire pip. But if I come down to where it wicked out at, I'm right around, right a little bit over a pip, barely over a pip. So this candle barely moved a pip, when this one moved, 7 of them in that 15 minutes. So you'll never know. The market is going to tell you how much is moving, but you notice it never stops. Look at this one. So there was not much movement in the market, but it does not stop. The only time it's going to stop is on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then it's going to open back up on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the only time you see absolutely no movement in the market. So unless you're trading cryptocurrency. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully that brought some clarity to your question. But the liquidity and what's happening in the market is what's going to determine how much it moves, but it just won't stop. All right. So any questions, comments, testimonies, and we'll take a look. We'll come on over here and break this down just a little bit. Questions, comments, testimonies. I want to make sure that we all understand the BYOB cash out strategy, and we all understand, how it moves. And so as you can see, let's take a look at this one. Did I just mess it up? I did. I clicked something else. Clicked the wrong one. Let's go back to this one. All right, so this is the same one. It's just not marked up. I don't have the arrow and everything on here again. So this is on a 5 minute. It's actually called for a buy. All right, on a 5 minute, it's actually called for a buy. Now, when I come over here and I look at this, you'll see why it's called for a buy. Now, because this is beginning to look like a nice setup, right? Blue line cross over the red and a downward momentum around that 80. I have a red candle with a flat top, and it's just waiting on that PSAR. So this is a good example of what it means that, oh, my PSAR needs to flip. You notice how my PSAR is on the bottom? This dot has to flip to the top, meaning that this is going to go to the top in just a moment. When I check my Confluence is in a buy, meaning I'm not going to take that trade. I'm not going to look at it. Now, if it happens to be in a sale and this stochastic begins to curve down, by the time that PSAR flips, then you see how it's starting to turn red? Then we would have, you see how it's fluctuating? Then we would have something to consider. But right now we don't. I need this movement to also, so when I have Confluence, I need, just like I said before, I need this to start look like it's turning red, which it is, but I also need my stochastic to start curving down. That I definitely need that. So you see, we're getting that rejection or that turnaround a little bit, but my stochastic also, I don't want an oscillator, a stochastic in the upward momentum and a candle in the downward momentum or vice versa. I want them doing the same thing. So what I'm sharing with you is going to take you from 92% accuracy rate to, 92% accuracy rate to even higher. So you think you quoted wrong? Okay, let me go back up here. Higher time frames, 1 hour or more, tells you the direction of the market. Correct. Versus lower time frames. Correct. Tell you the action of the market. That is correct. That is correct. The higher time frames give you the direction of the market. It tells you what the market is doing overall. The lower time frame is the movement, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Is the London New York session a better time to trade on for more movement? You have to make that decision for yourself. So you might have someone that likes to trade British pound, and and you might not like to touch it, or vice versa. And so you actually have to make that decision for yourself as far as what sessions, but you want to be informed, right? You want to be informed. So US dollar, USD, is in every major currency pair. So anything that happens in the US has strong impact on global trades, period, because US is the major currency pair, and it's also the safe haven currency, right? So we know we have commodities such as gold, and then of course our crypto is Bitcoin, which is a safe haven. However, as far as currency, the US is that safe haven currency. And then as far as liquidity, GBP pushes the most liquidity in the market. So when you have days like today, where, let's go back to this GBP USD. So this is what we were this morning, right? This is what we were looking at this morning. Now we looked at this and we analyzed it. It has not been this high since 2018. So this is where I told you be kind of dipping for pips. So from this morning, GBP can do about 200 pips a day easy. Now you look at where we were from this morning time frame, it went 42 pips. So that's not a lot of movement. So you look at where we were from this morning's call, which was not a complete, it still hasn't been a complete 24 hours, but GBP, that market is actually closed right now. So the market's going to tell you what it's doing and what's happening, right? And so I can tell you what's actually happening with the market right now is a stimulus bill. So there's a lot of pause. We talked about it a little bit this morning. So I was like, okay, let's go figure out what's going on. So what it is the actual stimulus bill. There's a lot of pause in the market because USD has so much impact in the overall market. That's why it was not much movement today, because investors, institutional traders are waiting on some outcome or some, to figure out what's going to happen so the market can get direction as far as that stimulus bill. You notice that we're talking about GBP. So that's actually, GBP is actually, it impacts everything, right? And so is there typically more movement in the London session? Absolutely. But how do you trade and what type of trader are you? That's going to be determined on your trading style. Do you like to get in and out of the market? Do you like to set your trades up to where you just let them go and flow and leave them? What type of trader are you? What are you more comfortable with? And what time frame? Remember, the market's open 24 hours, 5 days a week. So the evening might be where you like to trade, but of course the Asian session, it has liquidity, but not as much as, of course, the London session. So, all right. So hopefully to answer your question, Mr. Rogers, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just also be made aware. Obviously, last week was the inauguration, so there are different people who are filling in the cabinets. So for those of you who want to take a deeper dive, one individual who was actually approved today to be a cabinet member is Janet Yellen. Now, from 2012 or 2016, if I'm not mistaken, she was actually the federal chairperson. So you can kind of get a gauge on how her mind will operate based on her previous experience as the federal chair, but she's now the secretary of treasury. So those are the things too why the market is on pause. So once again, we're in a place right now where you have a new administration. So ideology and policy perception are going to also drive the behaviors. But if you want to take a deeper dive to kind of gauge, because you can always look to the left and things that have happened in the past will give you a future foreshot of what's taking place. So I just wanted to add that to you as well, because that's a very significant role from someone who was a former chair of the Federal Reserve, who is now your Secretary of Treasury. So I just wanted to add that commentary.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's why, we have been the market. If you look at what's been happening in the market, over the last week and a half, that's why there has not been much push and movement. And even I'm talking about a GBP pair, but a GBP pair gave us 40 pips as opposed to the normal 200. So just kind of put that in perspective. But when you know what you're doing, that's why so many 777s are in the chat. And that's why you want to have that understanding of how to trade and what to trade, because what else did we trade today? We traded Bitcoin, gold. So those are some other things that we were able to go in and trade, as well as some other currencies. So this is why this education and this skill set is so very important. You definitely want to make sure that you can maximize this skill set. And so much higher accuracy rate, absolutely, because you know where the market's going. Think about it from this perspective. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If I get in my car, okay, I know that I want to go, like if I'm in Jacksonville, I want to go to Miami. I know that I need to take 95 south. That's the direction. I know I'm going south, and I know that I need to get on 95 and I need to go south. So that's the direction. That's my higher time frame, right? That's the direction. However, all of the turns, like I need to leave my neighborhood, I need to make a left, then I go straight till I hit the interstate. Then when I hit the interstate, I'm going to be on a different interstate that's going to take me to 95. So do I go south or do I go north until I turn around, cross that loop a little bit, then go straight down 95? Or do I take the loop that's going to take me a little bit out of the way, but hey, it's a straight shot down south? So what direction do I go? That's the 15 and the 5-minute chart, if you want to put it in perspective. However, the 4 hour, the 4 hour to daily, that is actually my 95 south. So no matter what direction, if I went, once I got on interstate to the loop that loops around 95, if I go left or if I go right, either way, I'm going to end up on 95 and I'm going to end up being able to go 95 south. So that's the 5-minute, that's the 15-minute chart. That's if you really want to get some clarity and understanding it. But 95 south is how I'm gonna get to Miami. So that's the higher time frame. So when you look at the higher time frame, you don't see all of that activity. You don't see when I left my neighborhood. You don't see any of that. Is that, okay, it's gonna take me 5 hours to get to Miami. And okay, so maybe it shouldn't take me 5 hours. I drive a little fast, but but it's gonna take me 5 hours to get to Miami. So that's really the biggest concern. And so when you look at it, this is me coming back this is going from Jacksonville to Miami. This is actually Miami back to Jacksonville. You don't see all of the turns. You don't see any of that. But when I'm down here, just as I was just discussing, I just dropped down to my lower time frame. And when I drop down to my lower time frame, I'm starting to see all of those little turns. Okay. I'm starting to see when I left my neighborhood, when I got to the stoplight, when I was able to keep going, when I got to the interstate, when did I go left? Did I go right? Oh, okay. So I went right, as if this might take me a little longer, but then I end up on where I want to go. So you start seeing all of that movement and activity. So that should help you understand the difference of my higher time frame to my lower time frame, my lower time frame to my higher time frame. So you notice that I didn't see any turns on there. It's just a straight shot up or a straight shot down. So ultimately you're going to get to your destination, but this helps you get to the interstate. So this helps you get on the interstate. This helps you get in a trade. The lower time frames help you get in a trade and identify where you want to get in. Where do I get on the interstate at? So because I know I need to be on the interstate to take that route to go where I want to go. But this helps you understand that entry point. Oh, I'm on the interstate now. So if I get a trigger on the 5, do you have to trade on the 5? No, no. If I get a trigger on an hour, I don't have to trade on the hour, you know? So good question. So let me see here. So I want to show you 2 things, and we have a little bit of time. So now if any question, but I do want to make sure we understand strategy, because today is basics. It's like a basic training. You know, today is basics, market talks. So BYOB basics. So you're very welcome. And I see somebody getting a 777 while we're on the call. So fantastic. I love it. So understanding, you know, as you know, you're asking about the 5. So let me show you this really quickly. So if I take off the 5 minute, I take off the, you know, look, this GBP USD trigger on a 4 hour, right? It's triggered on a 4 hour. But if I click this back, I saw some, did I see it? GBP also triggered on the 5 minute. Okay, it triggered on the 5 minute. So you're going to get triggers, and like we saw this morning, it was the exact same trigger point. But you can determine where you want to trade. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into this as well. So if I'm looking at this, okay, on a 4 hour, it's triggering for a buy. But if I'm on a 4 hour, okay, if I'm on a 4 hour, then my confluence for the 4 hour would be the daily. So for my time frame confluence, add a factor of 4, 5, or 6. Okay, multiply by a factor of 4, 5, or 6, and that'll tell you what time frame you need to check your confluence on. Now, here you have it. So here I am on my daily. All right, here I am on my right on a 4 hour. But before you start coming here to take those trades, why do we start you on a 15 minute? Because if I'm up here trading on the higher time frames, I need to know a little bit more market structure. I need to make sure I understand support and resistance lines. You need to understand trends. There are things that you need to understand. And I'm gonna tell you just how significant those things are. Since we're talking about today has been like a retirement topic, your future topic. You got, you know, I mentioned to you all that yes, when I retired, I became a licensed financial advisor. When I was studying for my Series 6 and I was studying for my exams, the 65 and all of those other beautiful exams that we must take, guess what was in there? Market structure. Guess what was in there? Market structure. So even your investments, we talk about a difference in investing and trading. Even those investments have market structure. So this is the same market we're talking about. And so those are things in your skill set that's really going to put you in control. So yes, our foundation is sitting here where we're talking about, you know, you being able to get in and out of a trade within your first 14 to 21 days, you beginning to understand that concept. However, you know, you don't want to stop there. You want to always advance it because you want to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so when you know that, it's going to put you in a much greater position, because I can do 10 pips and cash out, compound it, and I can do I literally have people that's doing 1 trade a day, 10 pips, compounding, and they are making some serious money. All right. They're doing some serious damage to, you know, as far as making some serious money. You can do that when you're properly compounding and doing what you need to do. Patience, profit. However, I'm saying that to say, for you to really just zone in and just be that master trader and just really just understand and how to take those trades, I'm telling you right now, you want to advance that skill set. And so now, and what we're going to talk about Thursday is we're going to continue from last Thursday. And so I think that question about when to take the trade and how to enter the trade, because on Thursday we talked about how you properly enter the trades. You know, we talked about the tools in your buy orders, your market orders. So whether it was a buy stop, sell stop, or the limits, you know, we talked about how to actually enter those trades last Thursday. And so this coming Thursday, we're going to, you know, kind of dive a little bit deeper, and I'll help you understand when you get that true trend reversal and how to actually take those trades. And so we'll continue that. So make sure you're back here Thursday as well, because you're asking like what time frame I have to take that trade on. So you can actually get a trigger from the 5 minute, understanding that that's a tighter entry point, but then analyze the higher time frame, because you might not be a scalper. You just might not be a scalper, so you might want to let it just really help you understand that entry point. So for example, let me show you this. Let me give you this example. So here we are on the 1 hour. All right, here we are on the 1 hour. You notice that on this 1 hour and a 4 hour, look how nice and beautiful these candles are, right? This 1 4 hour candle right here moved about 65 pips. That's nice. That's nice profit, right? So this, look at the movement that happened in that 1 4 hour candle. And then I come over here, look at the movement that's happened in this one. 10, 10, 10, 10 pips. Do you see that? 10. So we were just talking about liquidity, time of the day, all of that stuff. So this was 65 and this is 10. So that's going to help. That's why those other candles didn't have much movement in them that we were looking at, and some of the GBP pairs. So now as I'm looking at this, you don't see anything in this, right? I don't see anything in this. It's just a nice solid candle, just a nice, beautiful solid green candle. But when I drop down, let's just go ahead and let's do this, right? So when I drop down, I'm not gonna be able to make it because it's always gonna tap over into the next candle just a little bit, or it's gonna be like that, and I don't want it like that. So we're just, for the sake of time and learning, when I drop down to my, let's just drop down. Let me go down to my 30-minute a little bit, and maybe, or maybe not. So now you get to see, look at all of this activity that's happening in that candle. So now every candle is 30 minutes instead of 4 hours. And so now if I come down to my 15, where we just talked about where we're learning at, do you see how on the 4 hour, this is one candle. But now when I say you drop down and you see all the activity, now look what happens around these support and resistance lines. So it's going to come through. That's impulse, is what we call impulse, correction, continuation, correction, continuation. You don't really see that much of the continuation, right? Correction, continuation. So now let's go down to the 5 minute where most of our triggers happen. Now here on this 5 minute, look at this. Impulse, correction, continuation. Now you see more. And all of this is 1 4 hour candle. So we know we're still in that buy, and we're still in that buy momentum, but all of this is 1 4 hour candle. And so now you're seeing, where would I enter the trade? I know when it hits here. So let's say you didn't get into it here. You know when it gets around here, you're waiting for that correction. So it's not the fact that I'm quote unquote taking the trade off the 5 minute. I need to, the higher time frame tells me what the market's doing. If you can kind of keep that in mind, that the higher time frame tells me what the market's doing, my lower time frame is how I enter the trade. When this finished correcting is where you would enter that trade. And this is where the vibrato triggers. So when you see these alerts that are coming through here on the left side, these are where those triggers happen. So this would be a trigger. This would be an alert for the vibrato. This would be an alert for the vibrato. This would be an alert for the vibrato. This will be an alert for the vibrato. You notice how it happens more than once sometimes, because this will be an alert. This will be an alert. This will probably be an alert. You get another alert up there. So you just have to know, when I get those alerts, I come back over here and I analyze it, because with each one of these, I would have taken a trade. I would have taken a trade. I would have taken a trade. I would have taken. Now, when I get up here, would I take the trade? This is where your analyzation comes in. So it's still important for me to, didn't mean to do that. It's still important for me to take those trades and understand them on those higher time, for me to begin to analyze. So you don't just want to take it because the vibrato signaled it. You want to take their signal, understand that it does the heavy lifting for you. So you don't have to go out trying to search that. And you notice that it's always accurate. It's a high probability trade. So it scans the market, it triggers it, and of course it'll go into that buy. So it's always there. It's just how much is it going to move? Like, for example, if when we were looking at the other trade, when it said, okay, it's the highest it's been since 2018. then that's just not a trade I'm going to take. But if I know that I'm still in that upward momentum when I look left, because history repeats itself. So when I look left, if I see that, like here, I know I have trade opportunity. This was still selling just a minute ago. So I know that I'm gonna be able to take this for a buy. I'm gonna pay attention to those I'm gonna pay attention to those things. So this is, I mean, we covered a lot tonight, but this is definitely, really to kind of break it down for you to really understand the foundation and the basics. And, of course, you want to begin in the academy, because the academy is going to run you from what is Forex. Like, what are we even talking about? The academy is going to run you from there all the way up to understanding these patterns and these movements. And that's why education is so important. So even for some of you all that's already gone through the academy, sometimes we have to go through it again, and that's okay. We all graduated from high school, but some of us graduated with honors, some of us graduated with tutoring, some of us graduated, but the reality is when you get that diploma, nobody cares. No one person cares, nobody cares if I have to, did it take me 5 years, or did I have a tutor, or was I number one in my class. Nobody cares. They just care that you have that diploma. So, so if you have to go back and review something in the academy, when you're making those daily withdrawals, nobody's gonna care, not even you. So just zone in and just really enhance your skill set. And so it starts with what is Forex, and it goes all the way up to, hey, let's talk about harmonic patterns and Elliott waves, and let's really get in and really develop that relationship with the market. And then, of course, what we're talking about here is applying the BYOB cash out strategy to this and taking it to the next dimension, because this is price action with a twist, and it covers every area of value that you're looking for, the support and resistance, your trends, as well as your moving averages. And those are areas of value for when you're trading. And that's why the accuracy rate is 92% and higher. So, all right. Questions, comments, testimonies before we close out. We have about 5 minutes. Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Questions, comments, testimonies. No questions, no comments, no testimonies. You guys are quiet tonight. So that means that everybody is a BYOB master trader on here. You say yes, you're quiet, or yes, you have a question, or yes, you're a BYOB master trader. Which one is it? So you say I went in, no questions. The fog is clearing more and more. Well, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Drop your question in the chat. Drop your question in the chat. We'll get it answered. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to hear that, because this is not difficult. It's just different, right? It's definitely not difficult. It's just different. And that's because this is something that's been hidden in plain sight. It's because the market has been there, but until somebody says, hey, guess what? You know what? Let me share this information with you. That is, let me help you understand what what wealthy people do, because this is what wealthy people do. We get trained to do one thing while they're doing something else. So this is why this skill set and this information is so important. And just to kind of caveat, as I'm waiting on that last question, okay, I got awesome training, thanks, new learning, fantastic, I love that. So just to kind of caveat, when we talk about your friend, your neighbor, and relative, to all of you all that are enrolled into the e-coaching, you definitely want to make sure that you are checking your email. You definitely want to make sure that you are definitely plugged in. But I'm here to tell you that 21-day action e-coaching program, that is definitely something that you want to take advantage of. Go to our website, beyourownbankmovement.com. And so you definitely want to make sure that you get enrolled. You definitely want to make sure, because I'm telling you right now, this is just this information is too powerful and it's too free. And if you didn't catch our broadcast about legacy, the fact that our children are trading too, how amazing it is to know that your children are doing something that you're doing. Your children are now free and they'll never have to depend on anybody ever financially for anything. that's just amazing. And you actually get to see and witness that legacy shift, and not when you're old, not when you're elderly or a senior, or just older. It's just beautiful to actually begin to watch this transformation happen in our children. And when I say children, yes, I'm talking about 6 years old is the youngest that I know of. But I hear people saying, oh, my grandbaby's sitting here, we're doing this and we're doing this together. So they're in a position where they have information and they're armed with information that we never had. It's just phenomenal. So you want to get enrolled into that, because this has to reach everybody in our sphere of influence. So, and this last question, so we can transition, because I told you I was waiting on it. So with the time frame confluence, does the candle that adds up to have to be the same color? Absolutely. Because these are trend candles. So if I'm looking to buy, then when I check my confluence, I need a green candle. I need it to be going green. And then also, my oscillator would need to be pointing upward in an upward direction. So you want the confluence on the oscillator as well as, the oscillator as well as the candle as well. And that's going to help you. So now, you've been practicing patience, profit. You did very well. I love it. So you watched the Zoom and did the vision board together. Yes, absolutely. We did do that. Now, compounding, go to our playlist. Go to our playlist. Trading the BYOB cash out strategy is in that playlist. So the compounding is in that playlist. So if we need to go over it again, I can pull it back up Thursday, but in between now and then, it's definitely there. So yes, you bring all the tools back to BYOB. Absolutely. You bring all the tools back to BYOB. Watch your accuracy rate. And watch the change or watch the difference that happens for your trade account. Bring it back to the vibrato. We're going to always bring it back to the vibrato and watch the transition in your trade account. Just getting excited over a few trades is not what we're here for. We're here to get excited over some wealth building. We're here to get excited on the freedom of being able to shift and walk away. Exactly. Profit, profit, profit. That's what we're here for, is learning that skill set, building that account, and freeing yourself. That's what we're here for, is that financial freedom that you all desire. So, all right. And this skill set, I'm talking about $6.6 trillion a day. Come on, guys. It's out there for you. It's out there. But I love you all. I love you. 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 I love each and every last one of you all. And so what we're going to do right now is it's actually time to transition this call. So I'm going to turn this call back over to Mr. Rogers so he can definitely, you are so welcome.